From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Rob Westgate. Israel's military is announcing it has suspended midday pauses that had allowed the delivery of humanitarian aid to Gaza City. The city, now being described by Israeli officials as a dangerous combat zone, was among the few places where fighting was halted last month to allow food and aid supplies to enter between 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. Well, the pivot comes as Israel prepares to broaden its offensive, mobilizing tens of thousands of troops to seize Gaza City. Ottawa says it's looking into what appears to be an accidental removal of a privacy provision in its Online Streaming Act. Earlier this week, University of Ottawa law professor Michael Geist wrote about the removal of the provision in a blog post. A government spokesperson says they had recently been made aware of what seems to be an inadvertent oversight. Geist says the mistake needs to be fixed as soon as possible. New court documents show that a Lindsay, Ontario man facing charges for allegedly breaking into an apartment was carrying a crossbow at the time he was confronted by a tenant. That's just one new nugget of information from a case that has sparked debate about Canada's self-defense laws. That resident, Jeremy David McDonald, was charged with aggravated assault and assault with a weapon after he allegedly endangered the life of the accused intruder, Michael Kyle Breen. Now, some local residents and business owners are expressing support for McDonald, including his friend, Jesse Kalabik. Kalabik tells the Canadian Press that the incident could be a sign that Canada's self-defense laws should be reconsidered.
You can't really determine the amount of force you're using to a certain degree if you don't know the force that's attended upon yourself, right? So, to each person that would be different, right, and how they would interpret it.
Kawartha Lakes Police Chief Kirk Robertson wrote in a statement this week that individuals have the right to defend themselves and their property, but the law requires that any defensive action be proportionate to the threat that's being faced. Researchers are urging Canada, the U.S., and Mexico to take immediate and coordinated action to save the monarch butterfly, as the migratory insect faces a growing risk of extinction. Ryan Norris, a professor at the University of Guelph's Department of Integrative Biology, says a new study shows the iconic butterfly's population has dropped to 40 million from over 300 million in the early 1990s.
These are pretty low numbers, and the reason why we don't want to be that low is because any kind of catastrophe in Mexico could wipe out the whole eastern monarch North American population.
Migrating monarch butterflies fly thousands of kilometers every year between central Mexico, where they spend the winter, and the United States and Canada. And a quick update from overseas, where Thailand's constitutional court has dismissed the sitting prime minister from her position. The court ruled she violated constitutional rules on ethics in a phone call with Cambodia's Senate president. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, only 2 games on the American League schedule. Boston beats Baltimore 3-2, and the Yankees thumped the White Sox 10-4. Over in the National League, Arizona, St. Louis, San Francisco, Philadelphia, and Miami all getting wins. And in interleague play, Houston tops Colorado 4-3. There were 3 games played in the WNBA. New York dispatched Washington 89-63. Seattle stumped Minnesota 93-79. And Phoenix got by Chicago 83-79. And in Northern Super League action, Ottawa blanked Halifax 5-0. Now at the U.S. Open, Montreal's Gabriel Diallo fell to Spain's Juma Munar in second-round action. However, Felix Auger-Aliassime, also from Montreal, is moving on to the third round, where he'll face off against Alexander Zverev of Germany. And finally, Denis Shapovalov will face the top seed and defending champion Jannik Sinner. From the Canadian Press, I'm Rob Westgate.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.